Alright guys, welcome to another beer review, and I think it's no surprise that I am a massive fan of Northern Monk. In fact, when you've seen this, I think there'll have already been 2 videos in quick succession within the week of me uploading this, just because I'm trying to make steps to keep some of my reviews a bit more relevant. Whereas there are some beers where you don't necessarily have to make sure that, oh, I'm going to get this uploaded for now because that's when people will be buying it. But with someone like Northern Monk, because I'm drinking so much of their beer, it would seem, after my recent rediscovery of Heathen, which is now I'm buying multi-packs of. But, you know, there's a few beers that I buy regularly. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the times I'll buy 1 or 2, then never try it for ages, or if it's a seasonal or a special release, I'll just pick up 1 and just drink it. So yeah, it's weird how my sort of drinking habits have changed, but yeah, it's weird. No, it's not weird. It's not weird at all. It's actually, it makes perfect sense to me. But yeah, as you can see, I'm a big fan of Northern Monk. And their Patrons project, for me, is probably one of the best collaboration series that there is right now. Because it's not just about the collaboration, it's about some of the concepts within the collaborations. It's not just other breweries that they team up with. It's, as you'll see today, it's a restaurant. I mean, we've had Temple Donuts. We've got athletes. Photographers, artists, and of course at its core it is sometimes different breweries coming together and brewing beer. But I just love I don't know, there's something about the ethos of Northern Monk that I do really appreciate, where there's basically no wastage at all. Now, I'm not really an eco sort of person. I do my best, but I don't go out of my way to, you know, be the best that I can be. But when you see what Northern Monk do and some of the initiatives that they're involved in, I'm a big fan of that. And thankfully, the beers are just bloody lovely. And to me, personally, Northern Monk are probably the best brewery in the UK. Whether you agree or not, it's not really the point, I suppose. You know, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, there's just something about Northern Monk. There's something about the beers, the brewery, the brand, the sort of the mentality. And if you go to either the refectory in Leeds, or of course the refectory in Manchester, which is really close for me, you know, great tap takeovers, quality of beer is wonderful, and yeah, so that's why you see a lot of the Northern Monk beers, especially the Patrons project, because they do it with Mikkeller as well, it would seem. Because obviously you get the Mikkeller Beer Club box on every month. But I've started to try and slow it down of the actual reviews I record from that box. But I can't do that with Northern Monk because I just want to talk about the brewery as much as I possibly can. Speaking of which, thank you for sticking through that diatribe of an introduction. Today we're delving once again back into the Patrons Project series. And this is part of the Culinary Concepts series that they do. And this is number 10.06. And this is a collaboration between Northern Monk, Cocktail, Beer, Ramen and Bun, which is a sort of a late night restaurant in Manchester, which for some reason I've been aware of it for ages. I love ramen. I've just never been, so I will have to rectify that on my next trip. And not only that, but it's brewed in collaboration with Finback, who I've had some lovely beers that Finback have brewed. In fact, the only beers I've tried from Finback are collaborations. One was another beer that they did with Northern Monk and the Patrons Project, and another one was with Burnt Mill, which I actually got from the Mikkeller Beer Club box. So it's weird, isn't it, how that's a box and a company in Denmark. So they've obviously imported the beer from the UK, and then I've got it from Denmark when it's available in the UK. Anyway, distribution's a weird and wonderful thing, especially in modern beer. And yeah, so this is a Yuzu IPA brewed with Citra, Mosaic, and yeah, Yuzu, obviously. Clocking in at 6.4% ABV. And as you will see when I read the information in the label, I just love these wraparound labels, and the quality of photography that they have is just absolutely fantastic. How gorgeous does that look? How much do you just want to devour that bowl of ramen? So yeah, I'll quickly give you a little bit of a rundown on cocktail beer Ramen Bun, because we've already talked about Finback before. So the place was founded by two guys with a passion for good food and late nights. CBRB, as it's come to be known, has a very simple ethos: to deliver delicious food, innovative drinks, and fantastic service. After being inspired by the late-night ramen restaurant culture of Melbourne, the team wanted to create a late-night dining experience in their hometown of Manchester. In fact, so you're not looking at me looking down at nothing, which could be misinterpreted as something else. I'll hold that up there so you can see it and bask in the wonderful photography. And so yeah, late-night dining experience in their own home of Manchester. And being bartenders at heart, they know that a great bowl of ramen needs a great drink alongside it. Their team is as crucial to their vision as anyone else, or anything else. I'm terrible at reading today, it would seem. They've assembled a squad of award-winning chefs, servers and bartenders, and every element of CBRB reflects their shared passions, from what goes over the bar, on into the bowls, and out of the speakers. You can find CBRB in Manchester's Northern Quarter, serving until 2 AM every night. How I wish I was back at uni so I could become friends with the guys that just spend each night and take all the leftovers. Yeah, I like to do those sort of like independent comedies set in New York. But yes, so a little bit about the beer itself. Let me see my in shot. There we are. So the brief for this beer was to create the perfect partner for CBRB's superb ramen dishes. Luckily, we're not short of ramen heads in the office, and to top it off, we know that there were two more of New York's biggest ramen fans heading into Leeds at just the right time. Kevin and Basil of Finback Brewery, read that wrong, we dropped them a line and set about putting together this Yuzu IPA, a fruit synonymous with Asian cuisine. To complement the sharp, zesty nature of the fruit, we wanted a base which was fluffy and rounded but still light enough to contribute to a refreshing drink. We went in with Pilsner malt and a large portion of wheat, backing them up with small portions of flaked wheat and oats for the base. The idea behind this was to put together a malt profile reminiscent of the wit style, but still had all soft character that would be expected of a Northern Monk Finback IPA. We fermented with our house IPA strain and added yuzu juice at the back end. Finally, we dry hopped with Citra and Mosaic, generously but not high enough to mask the unique flavour of yuzu. And yeah, so that idea just appeals to me so much. I love the idea of not only just like having a lager and a curry, but sort of like thinking about it and thinking of what flavours and characteristics you get from this beverage that would probably complement or slightly work against other, flavours in the food that you're eating. So I've got a really, I don't know, it's a fascination. It's like sourdough bread. I'm fascinated with sourdough bread. And how pretentious and basic do I sound at the moment? But I'm also very fascinated at the concept of not only pairing beer with food, but also cooking with beer. I love the idea of, Northern Monk, they had an event with Siop Shop, which is the donut shop in Northern Quarter, which is gorgeous, and Omnipio, and they did the soft serve stuff, but they matched it with donuts. And I was just like, unfortunately I couldn't get the day off, or else I'd have just been there straight away. Because as you've seen on, or potentially seen on some of my Clueless Eating videos, the idea of mixing sweet, sticky, desserty stouts with like fluffy, rich donuts is just just sounds so heavenly. And it's probably why I'm at the weight that I am now. But yeah, so even though I've not really had, well, mind you, go back to Donuts and Beer, the two other beers that I've had in this culinary concept were collaborations with Temple Donuts, which I'm actually going to be going to Leeds to meet up with Rob for a couple of days in mid-June. And one place that I have to go to is Temple Donuts, and I might get some nice impy stouts, and we might do some videos. And yeah, beer and food. As I said, it can be a simple lager, and it's going to be a long video, by the way, but I don't care. It could be a simple lager and a takeaway curry. If it works for you, that's wonderful. You know, it could be a wit beer and a doner kebab, or it could be such like an intricately curated sort of affair. I just love the idea of it, and like getting a nice breadboard with some cured meats and different cheeses. There's just so much more to beer than just drinking it and getting it off your fucking face. But at the same time, I'm not gonna think any less of someone who likes to get off their face, because you do what you want to do. Don't let people tell you what to do. And even me saying this is sort of like, I'd be telling myself to piss off right now. So yeah, this excites me on so many levels, and I'm not too sure if it'll still be available as of now. I'm sure the beer will still be, but Northern Monk, we're doing a little bit of a bundle on the web shop. And wouldn't you know it, I was going to buy these items separately whilst I was getting 4 cans of Heathen. But then I saw, oh, actually, they do a sort of gift set. So what you basically get is, you get 2 cans of the beer. This one's refrigerated. I'm saving that one for hopefully a unique video further down the line. If you want to know more, I'll be talking about it at the end. I don't care. Like I said, it's going to be a long video. Sorry. So you got those 2 beers. Probably the ponziest of beer-related purchases that I have, but I'm not going to apologise for. Northern Monk branded chopsticks, which I've got to say, look and feel fantastic. You've even got Northern Monk written on there. And they come in a lovely display sort of presentation box. I love this sort of stuff. It's so unnecessary. And what made me laugh about the chopsticks were, there was a limit to how many a customer could buy. And I think it was like 3 pairs of chopsticks per customer. That's like getting to Treehouse Trillium Monkish, you know, sort of exclusivity right there. And then as well as that, in fact, I might as well talk about this now because it all comes in. You also get a recipe for CBRB's Nagoya Ramen, which I want to try because I've always wanted to make ramen from scratch. The only time I've really had proper ramen was in, you know, different restaurants, and I think when I was living in Germany with my ex, we made like one from scratch, which was a lot of work, but my god, it was so worth it. So yeah, they actually include a recipe for one of the dishes in the restaurant itself. And what I want to do is, because I'm excited, because it says, and yes, you can pour beer in whenever you want. How wonderful does that sound? And it just looks fantastic. Mine will look nothing like that, of course. But oh well, so I'll be making that. And what I want to do is, with that, I want to actually pair my second can with that. Maybe even include it in the broth. Just see how that goes. Not only that, speaking of yuzu beers for ramen, and going back to Mikkeller, we've also got the Belgian ale with yuzu juice, which is developed for, well, not developed for the ramen restaurants that Mikkeller have. But again, it's another one that could complement a nice bowl of ramen. So, yeah, you might be seeing 2 episodes of Clueless Eats, Ramen Edition. So, looking forward to that. I'll be enjoying it anyway, because it's beer and food. Don't know if it's going to translate well into video form, but oh well. Anyway, this is starting to get even warmer now, so I'm going to crack it open and finally get it reviewed. long. It's probably going to be a really long review, so I do apologise. But if you've got nothing to do on a lazy Sunday afternoon, or you're waiting on someone, or even if you're cooking your own ramen, let's not make cheesy connection jokes like that. You know, see, when it comes to BeerTube, I sometimes like to watch really long videos because, I mean, I know I'm not the most palatable of BeerTubers because I do go on and on in the videos and the length. It's not exactly time friendly, but I kind of like, with fellow BeerTubers, the fact that there's really no sort of aside from like look, smell and taste, which is the usual format, everyone's unique at doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I really like that. And there are some reviewers, sort of like my friend Dean from Dean's Beer Reviews, and Rob from Hopscene, and of course Jake as well, although that's slightly different the way he had, because his is slightly edited. But they can like produce videos that are 3 to 5 minutes long sometimes, maybe going a little bit over sometimes, but they give you just the right amount of information. But it's also their personality that pulls you through, do you know what I mean? And then you've got some people like James from Rampant Line Reviews, who goes really in depth into not only the beer, but also gives you information about the brewing culture of the countries, of the whatever the brewery is, and a bit of a brewery history. So I like that sort of stuff. So it's a lot better than what's on TV. Am I really saying I'm better than the likes of Killing Eve and The Virtues and Chernobyl? I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. So, beer in the glass then. And I have actually had a few beers with Yuzu in before. So I'm looking forward to this because I love any sort of citrus IPA anyway. So beer in the glass, and it is hazy. It's not luminous, it's not as bright as some of the IPAs that Northern Monk have been churning out, and you know, other breweries. But it still has that contemporary haze look to it, albeit a little bit dulled down, slightly chicken stock look to it, but lovely yellowy orange colours. Head dissipated pretty much straight away. My phone's vibrating for no reason, and it's annoying. It's probably going to get picked up on the microphone because I'm a true professional. But yeah, it looks really nice in this Tulle glass. So let's see if I can actually get a nose on this one. Well, you definitely get the yuzu. Oh yeah, there's a really prominent citrus character coming through. And it's complemented by the citra hop as well. But yeah, you are getting like freshly squeezed juice in there. That sort of like subtle acidity on the nose. Let's just dip that little glob in there. I always shudder to think how much I sometimes leave in cans because I think it's all in there. But yeah, so the citra and the yuzu are just working hand in hand, and then you've got a very subtle tropical aroma coming from the mosaic. It's one of those IPAs that, and I think I've brought this point up pretty much every hazy IPA that I've enjoyed recently. Sometimes you get IPAs and you smell them and it's like it fills the room with this gorgeous hoppy character, and then you drink it and it's like it doesn't translate well into the flavour. It's just the right amount of fruitiness. It's just the right amount of hoppiness to sort of tempt you in, but it's not saying, look at me, I'm big, bold and brash. It smells good. There is some subtle spicy herbally tones in there as well. Maybe even keeping on theme, something like lemongrass maybe. Oh, but it smells good. See, citrus infused IPAs. This is why I love them. It smells wonderful. Let's finally give it a taste. Cheers. That's good. That is really nice. The sort of like citrus character from Yuzu. Now, I'm not going to stand there and say, oh, this is really yuzu forward, because I've not had it enough in beers to like give you a distinction between like a, I don't know, a Seville orange and then a yuzu. Do you know what I mean? But there's a subtle, distinct edge to the citrus character. So on the intake, you are getting like that subtly acidic, sweet juiciness from the yuzu. But then about towards the end, after you've got a bit of hot bitterness, the yuzu juice sort of comes back and it has a very subtle, like earthy tone. You know when fruits and vegetables, they're just maybe a little bit too young? Sounds terrible. So they've got a really like earthy flavour because those natural sugars and flavours haven't really developed and they've not ripened. That's what it sort of reminds me of. But yeah, Citra hop, definitely in there. You can detect it from a mile off. Body is... it is fluffy, but it's still light at the same time. Sometimes these IPAs can have, as much as I love a luxurious body in an IPA, they can get a little bit too rich and a little bit too heavy. This, I think that yuzu juice, the acidity is cutting through that body perfectly without it becoming watery. Just the right amount of tang. It's actually a really simple, laid-back, enjoyable beer. And I'm drinking this, and I'm looking at the photo on the can, and I'm thinking, even without trying it, this is what I would want. I made a burp sound as I was talking then. This is what I would want if I was having ramen. Because I can imagine the flavours are going to cut through that sort of like miso character and that sort of thing, and the herbs and the meat. See, I'm even thinking of going to town and actually getting making a bit of pork belly to garnish that when I make mine. I probably won't. Mine's probably going to, as I said, mine's going to look nowhere near as good as that. But I think conceptually, without actually pairing it to ramen, it makes sense to me. So they've hit the nail on the head there. As an IPA in its own right, it's ticking all the boxes for me. These are the IPAs that I love most. When you get a lovely, genuine citrus flavour. Sometimes, even when fruit's been added, there could be so much fruit that it almost tastes like it's synthetic. But this is as natural and as juicy as you can get. Lovely bitterness on the back end. Just the right amount of body. And it's a beer that I could just demolish. It really, really is. So in terms of a rating, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I think if it might have had just, even though I said the body works in its favour, in a beer in its own right, if I'm not thinking about pairing it with ramen, how many people have said that sentence in a beer review? If I was just to have this as a beer in itself, not really taking into consideration that the concept and why it has been brewed, I'd probably be wanting maybe just a little bit more body to it. I had that Sandy Kerr Session IPA, which is half the ABV of this, but had probably one of the best bodies in an IPA that I've had for a while, and it's amazing how they pulled that off. If they'd have had that with this, we're looking at, you know, beer of the year contender, but I'm not upset by that at all, and I'm so happy that I've got another can of that because I'm going to really enjoy that second one, and I'm looking forward to hopefully putting together that video that I've discussed and spent about 6 minutes talking about. So yeah, if you've tried this one, then let me know your thoughts, opinions down below. Are you a fan of citrus IPAs? What are some of your favourite beer food combinations? Are you a fan of ramen? Where are some of your favourite places to go eat ramen? Give me some suggestions, or any beers that sound like this, either from Northern Monk, or even Finback. What's some of your favourite Finback beers? Just hit me up in the comments. So yeah, thank you for sticking with me. 25 minutes. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But I hope it's been worth it, because it's been a pleasure. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Go check out Northern Monk. Go check out Finback. Go check out Cocktail Beer Ramen and Bun. What a name. And yeah, look out in the future for my cooking video, and maybe I'll even do a video if I ever get the chance to go to the actual place itself, which I'm sure I will. Yeah, I'll definitely will. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being patient with me, and you all take care. See you guys later.